Welcome back to Tousi TV, your global news channel. We come to you guys with some breaking news coming from Denmark. Four airports in Denmark are now under a huge security, and the Aalborg airport is now closed following the latest sightings of unknown drones in the Danish airspace. We have the live coverage on this channel. We have a number of videos to show you guys some reaction. There's a statement. We're now imminently waiting for the Danish government to declare a state of emergency. Of course, this follows the whole drama that we had over the last couple of days with drones, unknown drones being sighted in a number of places, including, mostly the Nordic countries. But first things first, the Aalborg airport in the northern part of Denmark is currently closed due to, as we said, the unauthorized drones in its airspace, causing 3 incoming flights to be diverted to alternate airports. Now, over the last couple of hours, we've been trying to get more information. We just have received a statement, ladies and gentlemen, from the Danish Armed Forces, because the military have now been deployed, and they are now going to be finalizing the state of emergency being declared. But clearly, they are basically indicating that they don't know what's going on, and they are just panicking. Now, the first footage that we have for you guys, again, there's a lot of questions about this whole thing, because some of the footage shows the so-called drones being quite lit up, and the others slightly more subtle. But just the footage that we received, this one claims to show one of the unknown drones currently flying over Aalborg airport in northern Denmark. The police and the eyewitnesses are saying that the drones appear to be similar to the ones that were sighted in Copenhagen, in the capital. Let's go to the first video. That's definitely got lights. It's only a few seconds, obviously. But then there have been some images and other footage that shows, we have more footage for you guys as well, that kind of shows slightly less lit in terms of these drones. Having said that, the Danish government are now going to be convening an emergency meeting about this to find out what is going on. As we said, this is the second time this week so far that drone activity basically forced the closure of the Danish airspace. This time, obviously, it's in Aalborg. A few days ago, on Monday, we had it in Copenhagen at the main airport in the capital. And that kind of involved a number of large coordinated drones that were flown by, as the Danish government puts it, capable actor. So whoever it is, they know exactly what they're doing. I think without being direct, the indication coming from the Nordic side in general, all of them, the alliance, is that they are basically saying either directly from Russia, or a proxy of Russia, or a mercenary from Russia, basically linked to Moscow. So that's basically what they are trying to say without saying it directly. Having said that, we can now confirm that the armed forces in Denmark are making a move. Helicopters, as part of the Royal Danish Air Force, are now airborne over North Jutland. They obviously aboard. We have trained soldiers to track and possibly down these unknown drones that, as we speak, are still pretty active, which is a little bit concerning, because for those who are familiar with established countries, whether you're talking about, for example, around the White House in DC, or the Whitehall in Westminster, or essentially any major airport, there are already facilities, including obviously highly technological equipment to either bring down drones or shoot down drones. And if you don't have it, obviously that's the first thing you need to have, instead of asking the Air Force to come all the way to potentially shoot down a drone. But seems like they don't have anybody to sort it out as part of the actual airport itself. They have to get the Air Force, which is again raising a lot of random questions as well about how they are doing this and why this is the decision. Now, latest footage that we've also received from this unidentified drone, one of them at the Aalborg airport. Let's quickly go to this one. That's the one you can see again on the screen. Just flying low, quite low. There have been, someone's mentioned Victoria, didn't airports also have some tech issues? Yeah, there have also been some cyber attacks. Whatever's going on, it seemed to be, or is perceived to be related. And I think we're getting some new footage as well coming in. Some stuff is happening potentially in Norway. We will get that verified quickly. But yeah, so there have been some, as the authorities in Europe have claimed some cyber attacks or some technical issues, because they haven't really been able to directly blame any actor. And we can now also confirm that an alert has been declared at one of the air bases in southern Denmark, which obviously houses the Air Force's fleet's F-16 AMs and F-35As, Lightning II. I believe they are now being deployed from the south to the north. In terms of the ongoing development at the Aalborg airport in the north, the last landing was at 21:17 local time, and the last takeoff was also 21:19 local time, so that was a few hours ago. 3 inbound flights were redirected. One of them was KLM, the other one was the Norwegian airline. One of the inbound flights and the 2 of the outbound flights were cancelled last minute. According to Eurocontrol, arrivals and departures regulated with a 0 rate until essentially 4 a.m. due to as in for the next 3-4 hours, due to drone activity in the vicinity of the airport. We're not getting any more statements directly from the Aalborg airport, but we are getting more updates from the military and the central government in Copenhagen to find out exactly what on earth is happening. There's some new footage coming as well. We're just getting that verified for you. But the National Police of Denmark have now stated that more drones have now been spotted in several other areas across the country. So that includes southern Denmark, near the border with Germany, as well as what we've just obviously reported about the Aalborg airport. So apparently this is still ongoing, and we still don't really have any clarification on who is behind it. There's a lot of people, obviously you could do an educated guess, but that's why even the government are not directly trying to accuse anybody yet. They are doing the indications, but that's it basically. So meanwhile, Turkey, as a member of NATO, have deployed their Peace Eagle aircraft to Lithuania. This is to aim to help detect low-flying drones and threats that might evade their ground radar systems. Obviously, this is a move in response, according to Turkey, this is in response to the recent Russian drone activities into NATO airspace over Eastern Europe. We have obviously seen some Russian drone activities, including the Shahid drones, which are from Iran, given to Russia, and that they were eventually, after a couple of weeks, eventually confirmed by the Kremlin. And they said, well, I don't know how they got there, it was a mistake. But there have been some drones in the eastern part of the European continent. But the Russians haven't really claimed any responsibility on what's going on in Denmark, or now allegedly around Norway. Not really sure why they could be there, probably around the border between Norway and Denmark as well. Everybody's saying that whatever they want to say, but we have to go with the evidence or lack of evidence at this point. The Danish National Police are now going to be shortly announcing a state of national emergency that will be declared due to the ongoing drone sighting across the country. I think this is basically the decision that's now come following the confusion inside the Danish establishments, because they probably thought, if we go with what's been reported, obviously, a few days ago on Monday when we had drones in Copenhagen and they were like, we dealt with it, everything's fine. Tonight, the initial report was about the airport in the north, but actually now that we're getting multiple reports, even in the southern parts of Denmark near the German border, this is probably why they seem to be panicking a little bit. They don't know exactly, or at least the people in charge of deciding to declare a state of emergency, they don't know what's going on. So or this is the perception of confusion, let's just say. Now, we are getting more reports about one military air base and two other airports. One of them is which one is that one? Hang on. Where are we with the... We need to double check and verify the actual... Where are we? Yes, yeah, we can now confirm this is at the Skritstrup Airport in Denmark. That's another airport that is located in the central parts, well, technically closer to the south of the country. Let me just show you the latest footage that we received. This is also another 6-second clip, similar to the first one, obviously. But this is just in the dark. It's just showing another drone. Okay, more breaking news is coming as well. Let me just quickly get that sorted. Let's just go and see this one. Yeah, that's similar. Obviously, it's a different angle, but similar to the first one. Let's go to the second video while I verify the latest update. Right. Yeah, okay. It's a shambolic. So they have not fully decided to declare a state of emergency yet, but they apparently they will be doing it over the next few minutes. The final decision will have to come from the leadership in Copenhagen, and I believe obviously it's what time is it? 1:30 a.m. probably local time, right? 1:30, 2:30, and they're gonna have to wake up the ministers so in order to decide what on earth is going on. All right, so let me just double check everything before I get your reaction. All right, let me just quickly get some reaction while we wait for more updates and the confirmation of state of emergency. What an absolute mess, guys. Super chat from RG saying, how much you want to bet in 3 days? All sources say it's somehow an Israeli plot to take over Denmark, which is technically historical Palestinian land. Yeah, and you run out of excuses, just blame the Jews, right? Someone says, why would Russian drones have lights on? So the potential drones that would have lights on, and they are automatic, will be, there are a number of different types, but one that I am aware of is the Shahid drones that are built in Iran by the Islamic Republic. And obviously they do sell or give some of those drones to Russia, but we don't have a confirmation that this is a Shahid drone. Even the Danish media and the Danish government haven't really claimed that this is a Shahid drone. But there are some drones that would have the lights on, but there are covert drones that wouldn't, which probably those type of drones would be used for actual military purposes to do covert operations. And whatever is going on right now in Europe, it doesn't seem to be a covert operation. So what I mean is, hypothetically speaking, because nobody has any confirmation of who actually it is, right? Hypothetically, if we go with Russia, for whatever reason, right, there could be mind games, they wouldn't send the covert drones because they wanted them to be seen, to say, look what we did, but you can't prove it was us, hypothetically. Or whether it's, I don't know, someone from NATO trying to coordinate something that, look, there are random drones here. Obviously, whoever it is, whether it's NATO, whether it's Russia, whether it's Gaza, whoever is doing it, because this is not a covert military operation, this is simply to send a message or distraction obviously it's going to have lights on. That's the point. It's supposed to be seen, whoever's behind it. That's a whole different conversation. But nothing is actually happening on a military level. These drones are not hitting anything. So the point of it is for you to see them. For whatever reason, distraction, intimidation by the Kremlin, whatever's going on. Or someone's getting drunk from Belarus. I don't know what's going on. Someone in Sweden have lost their mind. That's, the whole point is you're supposed to be seeing it. Now, someone says must be a Danish troll. Donald says waiting for that NATO false flag for them to start something with Russia. Russia is not the enemy. Well, it's not Russians who are raping our women and children in our own streets. So just because there's a scarier and more imminent threats and enemy doesn't mean anybody else is not an enemy. So there are always, you got the Eastern Bloc and you got the Western Bloc, the Western system and the Eastern system. Obviously they are at odds with each other, China and Russia and Iran with the West, whether you like it or not. And this is not some sort of video game. They would be like, well, but this is black, this is white, this is left, this is right. Geopolitics is more complicated than that. And it's not supposed to be like football teams where you have to pick a team. Obviously, depending on what set of values you subscribe to, then you could obviously say, I'm on this side, I'm on team democracy, or I'm on team authoritarianism, or on team this, or on team that. But it doesn't mean just because, for example, Islam is dangerous, China is not dangerous. So it doesn't work that way. It's not like only one enemy could exist in the world. Or, for example, we have some deep state globalists in the West. Doesn't mean everybody else, including the Islamic Republic, are good guys. So that's not really how reality of life actually works. But also the Danish government themselves haven't directly accused anybody. That also includes what happened on Monday. If they wanted to do that, they could have done it. Technically speaking, right? They would have done it way before. Or you might say, well, they wanted to add more to it, so they planned what's happening tonight on Thursday and then do it. Everybody could have their own theories, and everybody could sit there and in their mum's basement and claim to be experts. Nobody who's not on the ground or in these meeting rooms have any idea about what's going on. That includes all of us in the media. There are people who are going to be keyboard warriors, either on this side or that side, saying, no, I'm an expert. I know the truth. No, you don't know the truth. Nobody knows the truth. Anyway, Smokestack says, probably someone with a drone thinking it's funny. But that's what they thought initially in Copenhagen. But there are some multiple activities happening, including the tech issues or cyber attacks as well. It's all happening at the same time as President Trump going a little bit more robust on Putin. So again, whether you're going to say this is part of the NATO coordination to basically make it seem like there's an emergency, or it's actually Putin, for example, hypothetically trying to send a message saying, look, I can get to your airspace. I'm not going to do anything, but I can. But people can, as I said, can have their theories, but we will go with the actual facts. Peter says, I am an expert. I'm an expert. And Bob says, no, that's another one. I'm glued free as well. Bob says, I am a keyboard warrior. I appreciate those who actually at least respect their own identity and say, yes, F it, I am a keyboard warrior. Good, be proud of it. Know where you stand with yourself. That always really, really helps. J.R. Williams says, Starmer, Merz and Macron are trying to gaslight us into war, just like when Poland threatened to shoot down Western drones. I bet Zelensky is involved. The thing is, if NATO wanted to do something like a false flag and have an operation, it would have been done. So there's been about, I did count last time, since the war started, 6 billion, trillion, zillion examples of plots that NATO got accused of, right? For example, like, oh, something happened in Poland. This is NATO now getting ready to declare World War III. Considering we've had 6 trillion, billion, zillion examples of these perfect opportunities for the deep NATO state, they would have done it by now, right? Unless you want to say, well, yeah, of course, it didn't happen this time. It will happen next time. The next NATO plot. It will be the next one. Wait for it. It's like when 2 years ago they were like, by September, Ukraine is going to be wiped out. Or by August, there will be World War III. Every week we have World War III, apparently. It's getting tiring. So tiring. People who just keep claiming to know what's going on. As I said, unless you're in the meeting rooms with access to the intel, and that will be the top of the government, including Putin himself, not even the rest of the ministers in the Russian cabinet would know. They're not going to share everything with everybody. You get people just claim to know everything suddenly. Anyway, let's see what other example NATO will eventually use. The same applies to the Russian side, by the way. Every time something happens, like, well, the Russians planned this, and they're doing it because tomorrow they're going to do this. Like, so when is it going to happen? Well, no, they've done this because tomorrow Ukraine is going to be wiped out. Or Kiev. Or our NATO did this, that means next week Kremlin is going to be wiped out. Look, when is this going to happen? It's a forever war. That's the point of it. All right. Let's have we're just waiting for the confirmation from the Danish government about the state of emergency being declared. And what on earth is happening? Okay, we're getting some weird updates from southern Denmark, which, yeah, we're not going to randomly talk about that because double check something for you guys, actually. What's going on here? Stay with us. We have another footage. That's now just arrived as well. Let's quickly show you the latest video. There we go. Right. I think they have now closed the other 2 airports as well. The airbase is now on alert in the south. I believe that's where the helicopters from the Air Force have now been deployed. Okay. There will be another press conference early in the morning, which kind of means they might not actually declare state of emergency now. They're talking about it. I'm not really sure what the point of it is, because again, you have to question everything, right? Why would you, for the past hour, talk about we might declare a state of emergency and not do it, and say, well, we might do it tomorrow morning? It's supposed to be a state of emergency. You can't pre-plan it. You can't just say, well, we're maybe at 10 a.m. we're going to declare a state of emergency. Oh, shut up. All right. Either the Danish authorities are currently very, very much all over the place and incompetent, or they think we're stupid. So, but if it is obviously the external factors and actors, including the Kremlin, it will definitely be linked to everything else that's been going on, including the cyber attacks at airports and radar systems and everything else, which haven't really been damaging. Nothing that's actually happened. I mean, yes, some airports and flights have been disrupted, cancelled, delayed, but it hasn't really been the end of the world. It hasn't really resulted in World War III, despite what people have been ranting about for the past 3 years, that we're gonna have World War III. Actually, people started talking about World War III since 1945. Every day is gonna be World War III. The obsession with World War III. I'm not gonna die in World War III. I'm like, just don't die, go hide. No one's asking you to die. All right, everyone's terrified. It's mostly people who haven't actually experienced war. Obviously, for those of us who have, and growing up in war, obviously war is always scary, but you know, you're gonna have to man up. You shouldn't really ask for it or wait for it or start it. But it's mostly people in the West who haven't actually experienced it. They're terrified of the idea. Like, well, what am I gonna do? Go hide. Survival instinct. Humans have become so spoiled. Seriously. All right, we have a perfect reaction. Sarcastic. World War III. Every 2 seconds. World War III is happening. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we will get confirmation from the Danish authorities about this so-called state of emergency. And hopefully, compared to Monday, we'll have some sort of clarity on what on earth is going on in Northern Europe. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.